Planning Board meeting for May 19th, 2026. Will you all please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll do a roll call attendance, starting with John.
John Giovanoli.
John Eichman.
Richard Campbell.
Ed Miyoshi.
And we have upcoming meeting dates of June 16th, 2026 and July 21st, 2026. We also have the minutes from our last meeting held on April 21st, 2026. Could I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the first item on the agenda is Ridges at Stormville Mountain Subdivision.
Hello. Amy Patain, project planner with LRC. Here for Ridges at Stormville Mountain. We were just here last month. Since then, we've received your latest comments, and it seems like we've satisfied the issues with the site distance. And there's just a few minor SWIP comments remaining. So we're here tonight for the neg deck and preliminary.
Excellent. Are there any questions or comments before we get into the neg deck and resolution from board members? Any questions or comments from our professionals? If not, we'll launch right into the negative declaration resolution. Conditional negative declaration dated May 19th, 2026 for Ridges at Stormville Mountain Road. The applicant proposed to transfer 14.51 acres of existing undeveloped 41.183 acre parcel to 2 existing lots through lot line realignments and subdivide the remaining 26.673 acres into 10 new lots with driveways on Stormville Mountain Road. Through the lot line realignments, 3.12 acres of the parent lot transfers to 15 Vanbrook Drive. I'm sorry, this is a little complicated, but I guess it's necessary. We'll continue. The proposed subdivision of the remaining 26.73 acres into 10 new lots requires substantial clearing and grading work along Stormville Mountain Road to obtain the required site distance for all the proposed lots except lots 2 and 10. To avoid the potential for significant adverse impacts related to traffic and pedestrian impacts due to site distance, the subdivision will be phased and filed in 2 sections as follows. Section number 1 will contain the proposed lot line realignments and transfer of acreage from the parent lot to 15 and 24 Vanbrook Drive, described above, and the creation of lots 2, 10, and Lot A, which is the remaining lands to be subdivided in Section 2 into future lots 1 and 3 through 9. Section number 2, further dividing Lot A on the Section 1 map, will be signed and released for filing upon the completion of the site work, clearing and grading required to achieve the site distance clearance needed for the remaining 8 lots. Following documentation was analyzed in making this statement, long form EAF, supplemental part 3 information site plan. Town of East Fishkill Planning Board has completed its technical review of the environmental assessment statement dated April 30th, 2025, prepared in connection with the Ridges of Stormville Mountain Road. The Planning Board has determined that the proposed action will have no significant effect on the quality of the environment once it is modified as follows. The applicant agrees to a phased subdivision filed in 2 sections to ensure the implementation of mitigation relating to traffic and pedestrian operations, which would avoid the potential for any significant adverse impacts. With regard to traffic and pedestrian mitigation measures, the applicant agrees to implement the following measures in consultation with the town engineer and the town highway department. Number 1, the approved maps will be filed in 2 sections. Section 1 will consist of lots 2 and 10, and the 3rd lot will contain the area of the balance remaining lots of the parcel's future 8 lots. Number 2, prior to filing Section 2, the town will confirm that the stopping site distance based on the grade of the major roadway, which is Stormville Mountain Road, has been evaluated and accepted based on AASHTO requirements. The applicant is required to mitigate any conflicts with the site distance at each of the proposed site driveways as necessary. Number 3, upon the completion of the site work and clearing required for site distance clearance, Section 2, further dividing Lot A in the Section 1 map, will be signed and released for filing. The above determination is based on an environmental assessment, which finds that a traffic analysis identified the potential for site distance impacts in Stormville Mountain Road at the driveway intersections with the proposed lots 1 and 3 through 9. The proposed traffic and pedestrian mitigation measures identified in the statement of no significant effect would fully mitigate the potential significant adverse impacts. Consequently, no significant adverse impacts related to the transportation of traffic and pedestrians would occur as a result of the proposed action. No other significant effects on the environment which would require an environmental impact statement are foreseeable. It is fully agreed and understood that if the foregoing conditions, modifications, and alterations are not fully incorporated into the proposed action, this conditional negative declaration shall become null and void. In such event, the applicant shall be required to prepare a draft environmental impact statement before proceeding further with said proposal. So, sorry about that, it was a little complicated, but necessary. Could I have a motion to approve this negative declaration?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, carries. Resolution of subdivision approval. This may be no less complicated. We'll try to summarize this if possible. Whereas on April 30th, 2025, the applicant submitted an application. Whereas through the lot line realignment, 3.12 acres of the parent lot transfers to 15 Van Brook and lot 11, and 11.39 acres of the parent lot transfers to 24 Van Brook Drive. Whereas the proposed subdivision of the remaining 26.673 acres into 10 new lots requires substantial clearing and grading work along Stormville Mountain Road. Whereas as mitigation for the potential traffic and pedestrian impacts, the applicant is requesting a phased subdivision. Whereas the filed map for Section 1 contains the proposed lot line realignments and transfer of acreage from the parent lot to 15 and 24 Van Brook Drive, and the creation of lots 2, 10, and Lot A, which are the remaining lands to be subdivided. Whereas the approved maps will be filed in 2 sections. Section number 1 will consist of lots 2 and 10, and the third lot will contain the area of the balance of the remaining lots. Section number 2 will be the remaining lots. Whereas approval for Section 2 is contingent upon the applicant meeting all required conditions of the Section 1 subdivision approval, including lot line realignments and the required clearing and grading to achieve site distance for the 8 lots of the remaining lands. And whereas pursuant to SECRA, on April 30th, 2025, the applicant submitted an environmental assessment form. On June 12th, the town of East Fishkill declared its intent to be lead agency. On June 25th, 2025, the town of East Fishkill Planning Board circulated the EAF and notice of intent to be lead agency to all involved agencies. On October 30th, the town of East Fishkill Planning Board declared itself lead agency, and on May 19th, the Planning Board adopted a conditional negative declaration on the application. Whereas a public hearing was opened on 12/16/25 and closed on April 21st, 26, now therefore be it resolved, the Planning Board hereby grants subdivision approval for the above project as represented on those maps heretofore discussed, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, submission of 2 subdivision plats herein known as Section 1 subdivision plat, Ridges at Stormville Mountain Road, and Section 2 subdivision plat, Ridges at Stormville Mountain Road. Approval from the Dutchess County Board of Health. Number 3, recreation fees in the amount of $65,000 due to the town of East Fishkill prior to the signing of the Section 1 subdivision plat. Number 4, satisfactory resolution of any outstanding comments from Renia Engineering PLLC review letter dated May 15th, 2026. Satisfactory resolution of any outstanding comments from Hudson Valley Engineering Associates review letter dated May 15th, 2026. Town highway approval of the proposed driveway entrances on lots 2 and 10 off Stormville Mountain Road in Section 1 and lots 1 and 3 through 9 in Section 2. Number 7, satisfactory resolution of any New York State DEC conditions. Number 8, no disturbance or tree removal between March 31st and November 1st to avoid impacts to Indiana bats. Number 9, the escrow payment in the amount of $7,500 for an environmental monitor during construction. Number 10, all applicable local, state, county, and regional permits shall be obtained prior to obtaining a building permit. Number 11, the applicant must prepare and submit a notice of intent to New York State DEC to seek coverage under general permit GP-02-01 for construction activity. Number 12, final site lands will be required to be certified by the owner's New York State licensed surveyor. Number 13, special inspections will be required during the site line work and to confirm sight lines have all been established. A $10,000 escrow will be required for these inspections to be replenished as necessary. Number 14, the owner agrees to convey drainage easements to the town as requested by the town engineer or highway superintendent. Number 15, a note reading landscaping structures and any other objects or natural features within the areas of the lots that must be cleared and maintained in perpetuity to maintain site distance. This note to be placed on the subdivision plats, sections 1 and sections 2. Number 16, all required sightline easements shall be filed with the county clerk prior to the issuance of building permits. Easements shall be prepared and properly executed between the owners of the subject property, future purchasers, and adjacent property owners where applicable. This resolution was offered by Planning Board member John Eichman. Could I have, actually, we'll do a roll, I need a second first, excuse me.
Aye.
Sorry. And we will do a roll call vote. Board member Ed Miyoshi.
Aye.
Board member Richard Campbell.
Aye.
Board member John Giavagnoli.
Aye.
And chairperson John Eichman. I'm an aye. It carries. Sorry to put you guys all through that very long thing, but congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is a public hearing for TEG Federal Credit Union. This is actually a recommencement of an adjourned public hearing. Could I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Just give me a second here, trying to get this up for you guys.
Okay.
Okay, Brian Stacosa, Dane Stacosa Engineering. We're here tonight for the TEG site plan. It's a proposed bank on 376 across from Van Wyck Junior High. We've been in front of the board since the beginning of this year with plan revisions going through the development of the parcel. We're proposing a 6,500 square foot two-story bank. It'll have parking in the front. It'll have a proposed entrance across from the Blue Fountain Restaurant, directly across from it. We have sidewalks along 376. There'll be a drive-through. There'll be 2 lanes that go around the rear of the building. There'll be an ATM lane, and then there'll be a bank teller lane. There also will be an escape lane that allows you to go around those 2 lanes and then exiting out toward the original entrance. As part of this, we've gone through and detailed landscaping, and we were sensitive to the residential neighbors to the south of us, so we will be installing a 6-foot solid PVC white fence along that property line. There'll also be evergreen trees spaced around the dumpster enclosure and the ATM aisle and the escape lane, and then along the access going out to 376. We have done soil testing on site. The health department's been on site. We have an application into the Board of Health. It's under review. We have on-site septic, and we will be connecting to central water that goes along the 376 corridor. When the applicant first started looking at this parcel, we had a pre-application meeting with the town in January of 2025. And part of that meeting, it was discussed impact to traffic. That was the big unknown. So what we did with this layout is, before we made application to the town, we contacted Colliers Engineering, their traffic specialists, and we gave them a copy of our site plan, our anticipated use, and vehicle trip generation. They worked with the DOT for most of 2025, doing analysis, reviewing the traffic impact study. That study was completed January of this year. They determined that the entrance location as proposed is adequate, providing we had some warning signage and we kept our landscaping to 30 inches or below. So this site plan does reflect those recommendations by Colliers and by DOT. We presented the traffic impact analysis to the board. Hudson Valley Engineering is a traffic consultant for the town. They reviewed our analysis. They asked for some additional revisions and to look at how the school functions as it exists now and with future expansion. We've gone ahead and Colliers did that analysis and submitted it to the town. And based upon, those findings, the entrance and the use as proposed, DOT is acceptable to that entrance location and how we have it positioned. We were in front of the ARC for review of the building. Again, it's going to be a 2-story, 6,500 square feet. It'll have teller area down below. And the reason for the 2-story building is they have 2 existing sites that they currently rent in East Fishkill. One is down the way at the Robinson Plaza. The other one is at Heritage in East Fishkill. So they were looking to combine the two spaces into one single building site. And this is the result of those meetings with the ARC. We're going with a more neutral tone color on the 2-story building. We'll have a cultured stone along the bottom. There'll be some standing seam metal roof details, hardy plank on the 2nd floor, and they'll have asphalt shingles, architectural grade asphalt shingles on the roof line. We're here tonight to receive any public comments and just respond accordingly. But that's the overview of the project.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from our board members?
So some of the documents aren't available on our images. So I don't know about the traffic stuff. Is there, have it?
There was an update to the traffic study, is that correct?
And we did submit it, so those documents are on file with the town planning department.
Or not? Can't retrieve them on the...
Yeah, the only thing I'll add is that it's still a work in progress. The location of the driveway is okay. That has sight distance, but as far as impact to the intersection, that's still kind of a work in progress.
So we wouldn't have that actual information at hand, or?
The note from HVA says that they still need more information, basically.
Okay. Yeah, it's not available.
Okay. Okay, any other questions or comments by board members? Any questions or comments from our professionals?
I have a question for you, Brian. Can you just talk a little bit about the lighting that is proposed?
So we did freestanding lights along, let's see. There's, let me try to zoom in here so we can see it.
Sorry.
Page 2. So there's, if you're looking at the parking lot, I'll zoom out one here. So here's, as you come in, the entrance is down below here. As you come in, there's a light pole fixture in the front parking lot. There's one directly across from the, let's say, southern entrance. There's a freestanding light fixture next to the sign. And then we have 2 freestanding light fixtures toward the parking lot, toward the existing law firm next door. And then we have just a couple of lights along the rear drive aisle. There will also be some soffit lighting on the building.
Okay. So I have just a couple questions about, can the lights that are facing the residential properties be shielded?
Yes.
So that they're stopped? It's pretty good technology now. They can pretty much stop the light spillover onto residential properties. And then sometimes the light under the soffits, especially where the drive-throughs are, can be quite bright. So we're asking that be maintained at whatever's needed for ATM safety levels, which I believe is about 5-foot candles. I know that it's sometimes difficult to get the exact number, but that should sort of be an average that you're looking to achieve. And I can review it with you a little bit later, but we're trying to keep the lighting levels as low as possible.
Yeah, what we've done on some other commercial sites next to residential zones is we put a note on the plan that prior to CO, we can do a light test. We can walk out there to make sure that we're below that 5-foot candles, and sometimes to refine it, we put it on a dimmer that we can adjust the intensity, so we can make that a condition.
Okay, and then we also have a color temperature that we like to keep around 2700 K, but we can talk about that. And also, I just want to make sure that they're full cutoff, so they're also not going to say, okay.
Any other comments by our professionals?
I just had a question on the stormwater approach. It was a little bit confusing on the plan. You added the pavers this time, the porous pavers, and then you had the very large storm tech chambers.
Right, so we are in the process, we focused on, when we did our soil testing, we focused in on the health department and making that submission. And then we pivoted it over to stormwater, realizing that we had a little bit higher of an elevation in the groundwater due to seasonal high groundwater. We started revising our drainage report to use more green infrastructure, and we're going to be switching to a shallower chamber that gives us more separation in groundwater. So we just haven't made that change yet, but it's in process, and it'll be in our next submission.
Okay, so then are the porous pavers going to stay in the parking lot? Just so the board understands that the parking lot will have will have a different surface effect in some of the parking spaces.
I think what we're going to try to do is try to see if we can make it work with the shallower chambers and stretch them out. It's just from a maintenance standpoint, sometimes previous pavement can, over time, not have the result that you intended. So
That's what we were concerned about. We just wanted the board to know that there would be extra maintenance for that.
we'll have a tighter answer on that by the next submission.
Okay. Okay. With that, then I'll open up to the public. So just a few excuse me, Dave, please.
Brian, was any determination made on sprinkling the building?
I don't know, did we talk about sprinkler the building yet?
No, we didn't.
All right, we'll get your determination. We're still fooling around with building plan and.
Understand. Thank you.
Okay, we have a few ground rules. So we ask anybody who would like to speak for or against the project to come to the podium, speak into the mic. Before you actually start, please sign in so we know who you are. Let us know who you are. And we ask that you plan to only speak once on each one of these applications, so have everything ready to go. If you've already heard the comment earlier by someone else, just to make it more efficient for this evening, you could skip over that and offer only new comments. But with that, I'll open it up to the public. Are there any members of the public that are here to speak for or against the TEG project?
Hi, my name is Eva Sanzo. I live on Brandy Lane, which is right down the road from there. And my concern is just with the traffic. That's that triangle right there with the yield sign. And 90% of the people don't yield to the yield sign. So with that, it looked like the entrance is going to be, where is he? It looked like the entrance is going to be right opposite the Blue Fountain entrance. So with the people coming from 376, going through the yield sign, people coming from Hillside Lake, then when you have schools letting out, I'm just concerned how that's all going to work.
Got it, understood. And we'll ask Brian if he'd like to comment on any of this at the end of this. I think what he'll tell you is that there has been a pretty extensive traffic study that was done, and the DOT has signed off on it and believes that it's all workable. But I'll let Brian actually speak specifically to that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next person.
Hi, my name is Tom Brundage. I live right down the street from there. I have a couple of concerns. We moved up here because of the bucolic nature of the area. And when you turn in from the school, all you see now are trees. A beautiful white little old Victorian house that's the lawyers, and then we pull into our road, which is Miller. It's already been addressed. That is 45 miles an hour there, speed limit. I'm concerned about all the trees being taken down. A 6-foot fence isn't, in my opinion, isn't going to cut it. Thank you for bringing the lights up. That's important, because we already get too much light now. I don't know if lights are timed on and timed off. I understand there's security lighting, but the ones in the front of the building, are they going to be below the pitch, the roof pitch? Or are they going to be above it? Is it going to be over it? I'm very concerned about the excess of light, okay, and the speed on the road. I don't know who handles that 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. I don't know if anybody's heard about these new roundouts that they're doing. Is the one proposed for there? Who knows? But I am concerned with the amount of traffic that goes through there, plus all the trees that are going to be removed. So, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Joseph Saad. I live right across the street next to the Blue Fountain. Where is this project going to be? It's a nightmare in the morning. Everybody talk about the traffic, but they don't realize bank going to be same time, same everything with the school. And it's nightmare to get out to Route 376, to go through 376 or to go to the other side. You can wait there for 20, 25 minutes, which it used to be 10, 15 minutes you are in Robinson Road. I don't think the study for the traffic is something small, can be done like that. We're going to have nightmares. We're going to drop the speed limit. You're going to have more traffic lights. And we're going to turn to Westchester. Going to be one road to go somewhere, one road coming to somewhere. I didn't come in this area to be in Westchester. I didn't go to Terrytown or anything. Second thing, building like that with a big parking lot. In the winter, snow comes. We can have bad snow. Where are they going to push it? To the creek? They're going to pollute the creek? Where are they going to push the snow? Where are they going to move it? Second thing, the lights and everything. It's going to be a nightmare to the area. And I don't think people studied this fairly enough. I'm sorry to say it, but it's really bad project in a bad spot. Been beautiful if it wasn't a school across the street. But no, it's not really smart at all investment. And thank you for your time.
Other members of the public? I think that may be, so Brian, if you could provide some insight on some of those items that were brought up, that'd be great.
Yeah, again, the traffic study, we knew it was going to be a topic of discussion based upon our discussions with the town early on. That's why we did engage Colliers Engineering. They are a traffic specialist firm. Just to give you insight, there were three revisions that were done with Colliers, going through that process of analysis and looking at traffic numbers, looking at future build-out conditions. I believe in May of last year, we actually went ahead and did full traffic counts at the request of the town. So the traffic data that was used was current, and it was during school periods. So the analysis was done for current condition and future build-out condition, which included our site and those traffic numbers. So DOT did accept that analysis, and they did accept the entrance location, and they did propose some warning signage before you enter the turn going around the site. Again, and that correspondence that our traffic engineer had with DOT is on file with the planning department, so I feel free for the public to look at that. But we spent over a year looking at traffic in relation to this site. Specific to trees, there are residential buffers that we have to maintain, so the object is to keep everything green. We don't want to disturb the existing tree line, especially that borders our residential properties to the south, so that line is not being proposed to be encroached upon. The fence was added as another layer of protection in both noise and light. And then we have a series of pine trees and evergreen trees that will be in front of that. Per town code, we can't have lighting levels that exceed or go past our property line. So the light that we do produce in our site will be at 0 or below at the property line. We're not allowed to cast over onto residential properties or any property. And our lighting analysis does reflect that. We will add shielding, and we will add a caveat to have dimming to make sure that those light levels are at the appropriate levels for CO. Other than that, you know, we're here to try to blend in with the property. This is the first business commercial piece, and then you go into more of a residential feel. So the ARC was working with the applicant and with us to try to blend into that field, but this is one of the first properties that does lead into a commercial corridor, so we're trying to work within the confines of the code and working with our agencies.
And you've made provisions for snow removal?
Yep. Snow removal will be off to the side within our parking lot areas. Everything will be self-contained. It's part of standard procedure. There's areas that are next to the dumpster for snow removal. There's areas north and south of our parking areas for snow removal, so they are provided for.
Okay. So if there are no other questions or comments, I'll accept a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, very good. So we will see you again next month.
Yes, sir.
But the public hearing is now closed. So the next item on the agenda is 225 Robinson. It too is a public hearing, but I think we'll give you an opportunity first, Brian, to present any changes that have occurred since the last time you were before us. Yes. Our member, Rich, has determined he needs to recuse himself from this particular application, so he will step outside for a little while, and it'll just be the three of us. Thank you, Rich. And I guess before you leave, though, I'll accept a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved. So moved.
And all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I needed you for the quorum. Thank you.
Again, Brian Stacosa, Dane Stacosa Engineering. This is an existing 54-acre parcel that's located along Robinson Lane. It's behind the Neshwa Plaza that was recently built about 15 years ago. It's been an existing farm for a while. It's in disrepair. We have a local business owner that is in process of purchasing the property, and the intent is to improve the farm, bring the farm back. If you've driven by the farm, it's overgrown. There's a lot of scattered material, scattered debris. The existing fences are in disrepair. And what the applicant would like to do is he'd like to restore the property. He has an existing business, and the town of East Fishkill has a section of their code that allows for contractor storage to be contained within an existing farm. And what we've gone ahead and done is we've submitted a site plan that shows in concept where this location would be. So again, the farm is 54 acres and change. The contractor storage area is located in purple. It's just, it's 2.72 acres, so it's a certain percentage that we're allowed by code. That area would be fenced in. Access is being shown next to the entrance to the Neshwa Plaza. What we try to do is push that entrance location down, away from the residences across the street, and then access through existing gravel roads that are on site right now. Part of this is to have a spot for him to have his machinery. Again, with any farm and trying to get them back to a state where they used to be, it does take money. So there will be machines that will be on site at some times. He has a construction business. If machines are on site and they're being stored here, they're not making money. So the object is to not have the machines there. They're supposed to be on site working. That's where you make your money. So as far as machines coming in and out, this is not a daily thing. This is where they're periodically stored. As far as the ground cover and what would be there, our initial discussions with the town was to show a wash area if there is any potential washing of vehicles. We did show that with an oil water separator. As we advanced conversations with the town as far as what the material would be that the trucks travel on and where they're stored, we were proposing millings to be placed along those roads and in that storage area. And over the course of time, as you know, your first hot day, that material does harden. In talking to the applicant, as far as making sure that there's no contaminants that infiltrate the groundwater area, we offered a water separator for that area too. And typically when we do these, you know, with gas stations in particular, there is a maintenance schedule that goes along with them. There's a series of inspections that happens, there's logs that are taken, and there's a chain of custody when they're cleaned out by licensed haulers. Part of this will require a stormwater pollution prevention plan. We're going to be requiring soil testing similar to the TEG site. The object is to work within the confines of the existing grade and use the land to our advantage. We're not proposing any heavy grading here. This is just, it's a flat piece of property and we're trying to use it to our advantage. So we're going to slope certain areas and have them come into water treatment areas that will be designed in accordance with the DEC stormwater manual. The purpose of tonight was to get in front of the board because this is the first project that is, I believe, being applied for under this section of the code, and we wanted to get public hearing comment and develop our plans accordingly in response to those comments. We did have a site visit out on site with the planning board. We saw where the storage area was going to be and how it's going to be accessed. We talked about screening. When we were out there, we identified a couple of areas that the existing tree line was a little light. And let me try to zoom down here. So the school is located toward the southeast. So there was a section of trees in this general area here that was a little light. So what we did is we proposed some evergreen trees, you know, along the rear line. And then if you're looking at the site, looking at Stewart's, you can see the back of Stewart's slightly, putting it just a set of evergreens along there to provide some screening to that effect. If we're looking at separation distances, the code is very specific on buffering to existing residential properties and existing business properties. That buffer line is shown with this beige line here. So we're 150 feet from your nearest residence and you're, I believe, 30 and 50 feet from a business zone. If you look at where that shaded purple area is, where our storage area will be, from our property line to the school property line, we're about 182 feet from the closest point. From our closest residential property, which is along Robinson Lane, we're 672 feet. And if you're looking across the street, across Robinson Lane, we're 1,083 feet to our closest point. I was looking at the school earlier today. If we're looking at proximity from our closest point to the edge of the school building, we're almost 500 feet. And again, the purpose of this project is to have the ability to generate some income and preserve the farm. There are existing horses that are there now. The horses are going to stay. We'd like to refurbish the barns as time and money permits. The existing fence lines would be improved. Eventually, as we bring everything up, there will be more crops installed. The paddocks will be improved. But step one is trying to generate some income And if you even look at the town's master plan, the master or comprehensive plan, farm preservation is one of the key items that's brought up in that plan. And the town code actually allows for this and permits this in an effort to save existing farms. So that's my spiel. I know we have a lot of public comments tonight. So again, similar to TEG, just receive public comments and respond accordingly.
Okay, questions or comments from board members?
Hey, Brian, I know on the site visit you mentioned this is just a yard. There's going to be no building or anything that's going to be visible from the road, right? And most of that is actually hidden behind that barn from the
Right, there's an
Robinson Lane.
There's an existing, see, these blue lines right here are the existing paddocks that the horses use. There's an existing barn here that's in desperate need of a new roof. But between the overgrowth that you see in the front yard and the barn, even when we were out there, you could see a corner of a house maybe.
And the leaves weren't in as good as they are now.
No, it was a little cold out that night.
Other questions or comments? Dave?
Brian, the entrance drive off of Robinson Lane, that's not the existing one now, right? It's further up the road?
Further up the road. So if you see there's an existing gate area, this is the existing asphalt apron. So that's the existing entrance. What we're trying to do is we have a couple residences. There's 3 residences between our parcel boundary and like the first barn structure. So what we're trying to do is just, push that entrance down. Obviously we would be working with the town highway department, town traffic engineer as far as separations and making sure we meet the requirements. But the object was to push that entrance location down.
Is that road going to be wider than that existing lane now? Because I went by there a couple of days ago and it's pretty narrow. And
So this will be brought up to current town standards. So you're looking at 24-foot standard entrance with your standard aprons coming in and out. Again, this is an existing business owner that has existing equipment in the area. So this is not like an outside vendor coming in with new equipment. These trucks already service these roads. They're already going down these paths. So as far as truck increase and things like that, he already has them here. The thought process was to try to get them on this site, generate some income, and fix up the farm.
And then, excuse me, that intersection, that'll meet our turning radius for our ladder truck? Okay.
Yeah, what we'll do is similar to our other site plans, we'll run a turning template so you can see it.
Thank you.
Okay. Other questions or comments from our professionals?
Brian, is there any sense of how many vehicles will be stored at any given time on the site, or the maximum number of vehicles? And are you going to try to create actual spaces on the site, or are you just going to leave it as an open yard?
The way we envision this and the way we spoke about it is you're going to have like a central corridor that goes down, and you're going to go left and right. So I'm sure there'll be some kind of delineation. I mean, it's going to be millings, so that you do have the ability to, if you had to delineate with striping, you could.
Can you talk closer to the mic, please?
Okay, any other questions or comments from our professionals? If not, we'll get into the public comments. However, a couple of things to preface. I think we've got quite a few people here, and I have quite a few letters that I'm actually going to read into the record tonight. So there's a lot of information. Brian has agreed that he will collect all of that, all of those questions and comments, and when we adjourn the public hearing tonight, he'll come back next month, and he'll be prepared with answers. He may have a few answers on some of the easy things this evening, but most of the things will be answered next time. Same kind of ground rules, if you would. After I read some of these letters into the record, I'll call for members of the public to come up and make comments. I'll ask you to come to the podium, sign in, and speak into the mic. But with that, I'll get started. So we have an email that we received from Teresa Cordero. Teresa is a resident of Robinson Lane. She writes, while I understand the importance of business development, I have serious concerns about the compatibility of this project with the primarily residential and agricultural area, especially given its close proximity to homes, local businesses, schools, and an aquifer that supplies drinking water to surrounding residents. Primary concerns include increased truck traffic, noise, dust, and air pollution, potential contamination risks to groundwater and private wells from fuel oil, hydraulic fluids, and other leaks, property's location over an unconfined aquifer and within or near flood-prone areas, concerns regarding the proposed wash station and oil-water separator, questions regarding whether proper hydrological, environmental, and groundwater studies have been completed, potential negative impacts to property values, quality of life, local traffic conditions, and the character of the surrounding community. She asks that if the planning board ultimately decides to approve this application, she respectfully requests that strict conditions and limitations be considered to help protect the surrounding community. Those would include, and they're fairly numerous, but they would include no operation hours before 7 a.m. or after 6 p.m., no Saturday evening, Sunday, or holiday operations, no overnight idling of trucks or heavy equipment, no on-site fueling, chemical storage, or hazardous material storage, no vehicle maintenance or repair work on site, mandatory controlled drainage and wastewater containment for any wash station activity, routine groundwater monitoring, environmental testing, with findings available to residents, additional landscaping, fencing, and sound barriers to reduce visual impact, dust, and noise, restrictions on the number and size of commercial vehicles permitted on site, strict spill containment and emergency response procedures, preservation of existing natural buffers and trees wherever possible, traffic mitigation measures, and truck route limitations through residential areas. The next letter we have is from Linda Hassett. Linda Hassett lives at 330 New York State Route 376, She lives on Robinson Lane, has lived on Robinson Lane since 1999, and has experienced what she considers to be a wonderful walkable area. She's writing to express her serious concerns about the pending zoning request. This isn't actually a zoning request, but approval by the planning board for 225 Robinson Lane, and believes the proposal raises significant issues that should be fully addressed before any approval is granted. She indicates the application submitted by Mr. Metzger lacks the critical details necessary for residents to make an informed decision. It fails to specify the volume of commercial traffic, daily entry, exit frequencies, or operating hours. The application also does not include any information about the number and type of vehicles that would be stored at the farm. A community notice indicates the proposal would allow heavy trucks and equipment to operate from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday with noise from equipment and vehicle movement, especially early in the morning. She goes on to cite a few statistics that I'm going to read, but I'm going to indicate to you that the research is solely done by Ms. Hassett. The town, and neither I nor the town have done anything to confirm any of these numbers, but she indicates that she believes that the applicant has between 26 and 50 trucks with at least 13 drivers and owns 13 vehicles, 8 trucks, 5 tractors, and 8 trailers, and goes on to say that the company's documented safety record is also concerning. And again, this is her research. She says that Metzger Construction has an out-of-service vehicle rating of 44.4%, which is 22% worse than the national average. And an out-of-service rating is an official declaration that a commercial vehicle is actively unsafe to operate. She says permitting a company with a below-average safety record to route heavy machinery past our homes during peak traffic hours poses an unacceptable risk to other drivers, pedestrians, bike riders, and young families. Based on the information available, it seems quite clear that the quality of life and property values of Robinson Lane residents, as well as others nearby, will be adversely impacted if this application is approved. The next email is from Bob Coco. Bob Coco indicates that he and his family live at 136 Robinson Lane. He says his family has many concerns about this project, especially the environmental impact, and he indicates that they are against this proposal pending further study. The next letter is from Nesa Calderillo. Calderin, who lives at 146 Robinson Lane. She indicates that she's lived there for 36 years. She moved here because she liked the quiet, the fresh air, the green landscape. In the summer, the gorgeous foliage of fall, the quietness of winter snowfall, and the colorful and sweet aroma of spring. I really appreciated that sentence. I think it was well done. In the words of singer-songwriter Joni Mitchell, quote, "They paved paradise and called it a parking lot," close quote. I know it's cunning but true. However, still, it isn't my main reason for the rejection of this project for 225 Robinson Lane. She says that the area is rich in wildlife. The wildlife is part of the ecology that makes this region encompassing Dutchess County one of the most beautiful and desirable regions in the Hudson Valley. And the area of Robinson Lane is already high in traffic, connecting the city of Poughkeepsie and eastbound connecting to the Taconic State Parkway. Traffic is constant during rush hour, school bus pickups, sporting events, etc. Please help us keep our region desirable, quiet, clean, and help us keep our animal friends and wildlife where they have chosen to be. Don't destroy their habitat by passing this pollution atrocity that is their home too. Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity and freedom to voice my concerns. Next email is from Vincent DeLuca. Vincent indicates that he is the owner of 223 Robinson Lane since 2008 and the direct neighbor of the above property. When he heard the farm was for sale a long time ago, he was thrilled because it has become an eyesore and hasn't been maintained well at all. He goes on to say that it could not have been sold to a better family. He is in full support of anything they would be doing there because I know for sure they will be investing money in making that place pretty to look at again, including new fences and barn remodeling. He's always held John Metzger and his family in the highest regard and cannot wait to have them as a neighbor. To slow down or stop this for any reason would be terrible. The whole town would benefit from their plans and their large investment to return the farm to its original glory. He supports the storing of equipment, the use of the entrance, and anything they want to do there because he knows them to be respectful of others. He would also like to say that their character is unquestionable and encourages us to approve this fast so that we can make the town more beautiful, and hopes that being the owner of the property next door that his opinion would matter most. The next letter is from a Carl Ginter. Carl lives at 208 Robinson Lane. He's writing to express his support for the proposed contractor's storage yard. He's been a resident of East Fishkill for more than 20 years, and during that time it has been unfortunate to watch the property gradually fall into disrepair. The site, which was once a horse farm, has deteriorated over the years and has become an eyesore within the community. He believes this proposed project presents an opportunity to revitalize and improve the property in a productive and responsible manner. It says that by locating the contractor's storage area away from the road, there will be ample room for screening and buffering. Because of this, he believes the project will go largely unnoticed by the surrounding community and will have minimal visual impact. In his opinion, the impact on the area would be minimal from the traffic and noise standpoint as well. Overall, he believes this proposal will benefit the community and help restore a property that has long needed attention, and for these reasons, he respectfully supports the project and asks that it be given favorable consideration. The next email is from Lourdes Krakow, and actually from Lourdes and Steve Krakow, writing with regards to the project. She expresses concern about the proposal to have a contractor's yard at Robinson Lane, which would create more traffic for the area and take away from the quiet area we live in. The hours of operation would be long and heavy. Trucks and equipment to the area would create a nuisance and possible pollution to the quality of the air. I would hope that this road is only kept for residential and farming purposes. And the last item I have is a rather lengthy one, but I will try to, and by the way, all of these letters will be available in the planning department. I am summarizing some of the details, although I think I'm hitting the most important salient points that are in these, but they will be available in the planning department. Should you want to go take a look at them, you're welcome to come in. This last one might be one that you might do that on, and this is from Kristen Melendez. Kristen Melendez indicates that Her concerns include the fact that the property sits on an unconfined aquifer that provides drinking water to the surrounding area. She has significant concerns regarding the proposed contractor's yard negative impacts on the surrounding community, specifically the level of increased noise, air pollution from both emissions and excess dust, and the likelihood of contamination of this area's drinking water supply due to vehicular spills and leaks, point source discharge contamination of the water supply from the proposed wash station, and undue strain on the water table, causing a cone of depression that would affect all surrounding residents. The addition of a contractor's yard to this area will have adverse effects to businesses at Neshawat Square, to the students at Fishkill Plains Elementary School and Van Wyck Junior High School, to the residents of East Fishkill and children attending the local daycare, to the residents of East Fishkill, reducing the value of local homes and increasing traffic at an intersection that is already experiencing high traffic volumes, causing heavy traffic delays. Her comments are numbered, and again, I'll try to summarize these to be quick about it. Comment number 1, the application, she says, does not meet the inherent intent of the town's code, and indicates the proposed activity is not compatible with the surrounding area, and due to her previous comments, and the proposed design plans do not protect the health, safety, and welfare of the community. Comment number 2, wash station and oil water separator do not protect health, safety, and welfare of the community. She asks, what is the radius of where the contractor's vehicle will range? There's a high risk of spreading invasive and noxious species at the wash station. What protections will be in place to control any spread of invasives? Robinson Lane has flooded at least 3 times in the last 10 years. Can the contractor provide provisions to protect community water supply during a flood? What controls will be placed on the oil water separator, like overfill alarms, overfill protection requirements, et cetera? How often will the oil water separator be emptied? What will be the inspection requirements? Has the pH of the soil been tested? What is the design flow, expected volume flow throughout usage? Point source wastewater discharge is not adequately designed for floodplains. No storm, sewer, and sewage disposal infrastructure is identified on site for wash station discharge. Current design appears to be discharging directly to the floodplain. Comment number 3, dimensions. She wants to be provided dimensions for area of disturbance at the wash station. Comment 4, contractors identified disturbance of 4.69 acres, but has not identified requirements for the state pollutant discharge elimination system construction general permit. Comment number 5, permit application and design plans conflict. Permit application states no filling of floodplains, and floodplains are not affected by the application. However, the application states that no earth removal or no earth will be imported. However, design plans, page 2, shows 9 inches of gravel base, proof rolling to subgrade and, excuse me, I'm having a little bit difficult with this one, and or compact selected fill. So she indicates there may be a conflict between the plans and what the plans are with regards to bringing in a gravel base. Comment number 6, design plans directly conflict within, and she's concerned whether there are going to be any hazardous materials that will be stored on site. Number 7. Okay, she's concerned that the natural barrier of the grassy areas and so forth will not be sufficient to meet the aesthetic standards of the surrounding community. Comment number 8, small spill of gasoline, diesel, hydraulic fluid, oil, et cetera, would plume directly into our drinking water. Comment number 9, maintenance on equipment should not be allowed. Comment number 10, has the property at 225 Robinson Lane been considered for landmark status by the town? This property is a historic farm dating back 275 years. Comment number 11, has proximity to private and public wells and septic fields been considered? Comment number 12, has a hydrological study been conducted and provided to residents. Number 13, has the hydraulic conductivity and transmissivity of the aquifer been considered both in the event of a spill as well as a strain on the aquifer due to increased water usage? Number 14, have groundwater contour lines been drawn to show residents where contaminated water will travel? 15, will monitoring wells be drilled downstream and tested quarterly for at least one full year? 16, where is the water source for the wash station? Is it the existing property, on the existing property, or will it be a new source? Number 17, concern is significant regarding water table drawdown for the residential area. Public water supply is nearby at Summerlin Plaza, and should this project proceed, tie into the existing public water infrastructure should be mandated to limit impact on the local community. Number 18, why is an impermeable surface not proposed for the contractor parking area? Number 19, have impacts been considered for the proposed contractor's yard regarding future use for the two sections of parcels that are reserved for recreational usage adjacent to Robinson Lane? And she references a 1982 land survey. Comment number 20, proposed contractor yard is not in line with East Fishkill comprehensive plan. Number 21, proposed contractor yard does not meet intent of aquifer protection contained within Dutchess County Local Law Number 2 of 2024. And conclusive summary, you've all been waiting for this, haven't you? Recommend that the East Fishkill Planning Board disapprove this project application due to the negative impacts and adverse effects to vital community resources, clean drinking water, clean air, our community, our businesses, and our children. The insufficiency of design detail and supporting compliance documents for this proposed project is highly alarming. Moving forward at this time would fail to protect the health, safety, and welfare of East Fishkill families. And that, I believe, does it for all of the letters that I have. I actually thought I had one additional one. But no, that's it. So with all of that in mind, all the ground rules we spoke about earlier, I'd like to open it up to the public to actually come up and make some public comments. And again, just come to the podium and speak into the microphone. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Doug Welch. I'm one of the three houses directly across from this proposed site. A little background, my family's been residents of East Fishkill since 1970. I got my hunting license in Parker's Outdoor World, which is right down the road. This parcel is the last vestige of 600 historical homestead acres. It's one of the main reasons why we moved directly across from the site that we're talking about right now. Every location in Summerlin Court has white farm fences right in front of their houses, emulating the white fences that were once there across the street. I echo the Joni Mitchell sentiments. I'm not an environmentalist, but I got my hunting license there, and you know, I kind of like to see the birds come around. I like to see wildlife. I have an affinity for wildlife that comes around. We feed animals, in fact, but I have other reasons for not wanting this particular proposal to go through as well. I have health issues due to my tetraplegia. I have very low lung capacity. I'm struggling to speak right now. I'm on a respirator at night. Carbon monoxide fumes exacerbate my condition. I'm directly across. If you put the map back up, I'm the house directly across from this. And I can smell, they have a couple trucks there now, and I can smell the fumes. So two wrongs don't make a right. You say that, oh yeah, there's already construction vehicles there. Well, you know what? Multiply all that times 10. Does that make it right? Because you got a precedent? I don't think so. You know, we have a history there, and this is a farmland. It goes back to 1748. You can look it up. And this is the last vestige of the 600 acres. So I echo, I'm not going to be redundant and say the same things about the groundwater, but I've flooded out. My neighbors have flooded out. When you've got saturated sedimentary soil that floods, I don't care what kind of precautions you do, that whatever is on the ground is going to float. It's going to float to whatever the easiest exit is. And guess what? That's our wells. And I'm very concerned about that. And I don't see any precaution that you can put in place because this is a flood zone. This whole area going all the way to Fishkill Plains Elementary School, all the way up to where Parker's Outdoor World was, to that pond up there where we used to ride snowmobiles. I used to shoot trap and skeet up on the side there. The land still has horses. I took my family horseback riding there. What's going to happen to all that? I'm against it. I'm sorry. I can't sign this right now because I don't have my hands. Maybe I can get some assistance from somebody.
That's okay, we actually have your name in the record and we're fine.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Adam Tinter, Tamarack Drive. I would like to, I've been to several of these meetings, several board meetings. I'm actually not going to comment on one of these specific projects at this moment in time, but I would like to implore the board, the planning board, and I realize the zoning board isn't here and the town council's not here, but that when I moved to East Fishkill, I moved here for a reason, and I'm seeing a lot of these projects, and I am no stranger to suburban development, okay? I'm from New Jersey. Seen it all my life. But what I also have seen, and I want to implore the board tonight, and I'm sure many people here would agree with me, but I'm going to speak for myself, that the planning board and the people who represent us in East Fishkill take the opportunity not only to execute the master plan that we've set forth, but also the intent and the character of the town, and not just look at, and I'm not saying this to accuse anybody here of doing so, but to be mindful of the fact that while I realize that there are property right laws are not immutable, and that the planning board does have a duty to execute projects that are in line with many of the residents' concerns, and to do so on our behalf is basically what I'm imploring all of you to do as these projects come up, because there are a lot of them. There are a lot of things going on in East Fishkill, and that each one of these things is taken careful consideration in line with the character. Also meaning that if there are things that we need to look at a little bit deeper, that we do so. That's really all I really wanted to say as a public comment for this and all of the projects going on at this point in time, because I hear all of these residents and their concerns and their immediate impacts in their area. And I hope when the time comes for me to comment on a project that's in my area, that they understand that as well, and that you guys also do. So I just wanted to make that comment because while I have an opportunity to address all of you. So thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Christina Mercarella, and I live across the street from this project on Robinson Lane. I have a question for the gentleman here. I thought it was his plan that he presented tonight. Is that correct? This gentleman here? Is it your plan that you presented? Why are you not listening to the public meeting? Okay, thank you, because it didn't seem like you were paying any attention at all. Okay. I'm concerned about the valuation to my home. For the last 5 years, the town assessor has raised the assessment on my home for 5 years in a row. And I'm paying taxes, even though the letter says, oh, doesn't mean your taxes are going to go up. That has never proven to be the case. And I'm concerned, I've been paying taxes all this time based on these reassessments. What is this project going to do to the value of my home that I've been paying these taxes on, besides all the environmental things that everyone else has already addressed. I don't want to be redundant either. But I think that it has been an eyesore for a very long time. And I keep my property very pristine. And I'm right across the street from this eyesore. And yet has never come upon the town to say, you need to fix those fences. You need to make that property look better. And I don't think that this is the solution to say, okay, it's a mess over there, but we're going to put in something that's not beneficial to you. And we're going to make you believe that this is a good thing because you're dealing with a mess right now. So I would implore the town to really consider this project. I don't feel it's in the best interest of the people on Robinson Lane. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next member of the public.
Hi, my name is Eric Hutchinson. I live at 201 Robinson Lane, and I've lived in the house for 28 years. And one of the reasons I liked the property was it was surrounded by water, wildlife, green space. And, with this proposal, I quite don't understand it. It sounds like it's commercial, having the trucks, and then they're throwing in this agricultural benefit, saying the horses will be, the horse farm will be fixed up and all of that. But what proof do we get that that will occur? I mean, is it just something they'll say just to get the project underway? I just like some proof that that all is going to come to fruition. I have concerns about the lot itself where the vehicles will be stored. The same applicant had a storage facility on the same road maybe 20 years ago, and it was just a bunch of vehicles all over the place. Their current yard where they're stored now is, again, just a bunch of vehicles, snow plowing equipment. They used to do snow plowing. I don't know if that's still the case. But what proof do we have that in the future they're not going to store aggregates, stone, salt, all these other things that may inject into the groundwater? And, fuel storage, is that going to happen there? And there was, again, a lot of concern about polluting the groundwater, so I just want to, make my concern about the groundwater being protected in this proposal. And what else did I have? No, that's pretty much it. I just, if it does go through, I'd like to make some guarantees that they're going to clean up the property and make it appealing to the public, and it's not just, lip service to make it sound like the project's going to be beautiful for the street. And what guarantee do we have that they're not going to enlarge that parking area in the future? It seems to be pretty small for the amount of equipment they have, and they're going to want to expand it, it would appear. And I don't know if they're going to rezone the property, or is it just something, it's agricultural now? Will it be mixed use, agricultural, commercial, and the ability to expand the commercial side of it? Now that they're in, will they just keep expanding until it's a giant commercial lot leased out, spaces leased out to other contractors that need storage? And those are things I'd just like to make sure that that does not occur. So myself, I'm kind of against the project. I mean, it sounds good that they're going to fix up the farm, but again, I'm concerned that, the commercial aspect of it will take away from the property values. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next member of the public.
Good evening, Steve Hoffman. I'm a resident owner at 23 Summerlin Court for about 13 years. My wife runs a home daycare out of the same property. I echo everyone's concerns, the letters. I'm not as smart to have done all of the research. As a homeowner, I'm concerned about the traffic. Where their vehicles are stored, I know the gentleman gave distances, but they have to get there, and they have to get there off of a very busy intersection where we know we have kids, we have parents driving to schools, we have school buses. I take my bike from my home to the head of the rail trail, which is 7/10 of a mile, and I'm really hesitant because at 7/10 of a mile on Robinson Lane, even without additional traffic, I worry about my safety for 7/10 of a mile. That's why I ride on the trail and I don't ever ride on streets. Sometimes I even take my car. I put my bike on my car there because I'm concerned. I think the concern is going to be much greater if I have more commercial traffic. The thing that I wasn't prepared to say but hit me as I heard the presentation, I could be wrong, but what I was hearing was, well, this is a property that's been in disrepair, which is a concern, and we want to fix that. If that's the reason why we're doing something, let's fix the property and leave it as a farm and make it beautiful. I think there are lots of other ways to do that. That was part of the presentation, is we will do that, but we're going to put an area to store commercial vehicles back here. To me, if you want to beautify the property, I think there are a lot of other ways. And I think it sounds nice because there's a benefit to the community, but at what cost to have commercial vehicles stored on that property to change, in essence, the neighborhood and and everything that goes on there? I think if the true goal, and again, the way things were presented, at least the way my biased ears heard them, was we want to beautify this and we're going to store some vehicles. Well, if the goal is to beautify it, I think we all could have a million other proposals that the residents here would agree with, and myself, that would preserve what that property is and not bring the commercial vehicles. 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., Monday through Saturday, I think that was glossed over. That was what's in the proposal. And where the statement gets made that, well, money isn't made if the trucks are sitting there. Well, they're going to sit there, so they have to get there somehow. So I understand that if the business owner wants to make money, he's going to want to have trucks, but they're going to have to start off somewhere and end up somewhere. That means there's going to be traffic going up on our streets from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. I think that just gives me a scope of what I see and what I envision happening. Might not just be about beautifying the property. So I don't want to be redundant, but I just want to add that perspective. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, next member of the public.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Janine Castaldi. I live at 217 Robinson Lane. The property butts up right to the current horse farm. I've been there for 28 years, been an East Fishkill resident for 40 years. I have big concerns about this project. First of all, the aquifer. I'm concerned that this wash station, et cetera, it's going to impact the water levels in my house. I want guarantees that it's not going to impact the water levels in my house. I'm not going to have to hire external people to come in, dig a new well, whatever. I also have concerns about potential contamination of the soil and the water. This is the first I'm hearing about the wash station. I did hear that there was going to be storage of some vehicles, but to that effect, the wash station, what if something happens with that? It overflows into the groundwater. What if the trucks are sitting there? Maybe they're old, maybe they're not being used, they're leaking fuel or oil or any other contaminants into the ground. I don't want this place to turn into a junkyard. We have enough of those in this town. And I really don't want another Superfund site in this town. We have plenty of those. So I would like a guarantee that there's no impact to the groundwater or soil contamination to myself and to all my neighbors on Robinson Lane and the surrounding areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir.
I'm the guy right next door to 220. I'm on 223. I know John for a long time. What I see there is more than everybody else because I'm right next door. At 6 o'clock in the morning, there are cars coming in right next door to my house, trucks coming in, they drive their garbage out. My property value is definitely, if I went to sell the house now, I'd have an obstacle with that, the way it looks. Of course, I'm concerned with the environment, but I'm assuming the town has their controls on it. Right now, there are 2 entrances, one maybe not even shown on there. The one at Summerlin is not one that's often used. The one that's often used is the one directly next to me, and it's an unpaved road. The sounds of those trucks going through are quite obvious. And when I have people there, my family, I mean, it's awful looking. I don't assume that the town is going to let this project go without having safeguards for the environment. So in regards to my email, I would assume that there'd be safeguards to the environment, but property values going down because of the farm coming back to the beauty is, I would think, the opposite of what actually is going to happen. Frankly, if anybody would come there and I was selling my house, you would leverage the way that that place looks. On the note of what that's going to be, I think we're all getting too concerned with the storage of the trucks, but if that was developable by landowners, it would have been sold and there would be homes being built there. And Tom, to understand, the intentions are to bring the horses that are gone because of the disrepair back. That entrance that's there being moved to Summerlin, or that entrance that they proposed, is far better than the way that I have to see it. And further, what goes on that property, I get a sneak peek because I stand out on my deck and I look. You have a trailer on there. How are they protecting the environment? There's a trailer on there. Somebody's living in there. They're burning, they're cooking outside there. There's a roof that leaks. There's probably mold in that barn where people are occupying that property. So outside of my being thrilled that somebody's going to put a new fence up, I should have asked a long time ago. I wouldn't be happy with the commercial trucks going there, or 18, 20 commercial trucks. That was never how it was presented to me. But if there is storage there and they're going out on Summerlin, I can't see anything but a benefit moving the two entrances down further. I would assume the town's going to protect our drinking water. And as far as the flooding is concerned, what I get now is that pond that settles right in the front of my house from the pond. So I would hope that their plans would include some mitigation of that water to go not into the front of my property. But as far as property values are concerned, I think the opposite effect is happening now. And quite frankly, I think there's some not quite right stuff going on there now at this point too. And whatever dwelling is there is dangerous and it's horrible to look at. I'm tired of it. I want it sold and gone, and I figure that this is the best way to do it.
Thank you. Next member of the public.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Bobby Grasso. I live currently right across from Metzger's farm, what's now Metzger's farm, and I've been there quite a few years, since '68. And ever since I've been there, I've never known Metzger's to do anything but improve that property. They keep it impeccable. I know them personally, never heard them say anything in a way to circumvent anything that might be wrong. I think they're responsible, respectful people. I don't really think there's anything to worry about, and whatever concerns there might be, I would expect that the town would oversee all of the concerns that the people, have a right to be concerned about. But regarding Metzger's themselves, their character is impeccable. Like I said, I live across right across from them. They have vehicles there. Not really a bother to me. They're in and out once in a while. I don't think that this is going to be an in and out traffic like people might think that it's going to be all day long. So I think some of the concerns are just an overreach, but I'm in favor of the project. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next member of the public.
Hi, my name is David Melendez. My wife, she wrote a detailed memo already, and I don't want to be redundant, but I also want to let you know that I did take a look at the FEMA map. I attached it, and you guys all should have it. You know, people say they don't care. Yeah, my house will look better, the trucks are going to be there, and it's not going to be a big thing. But trust me, it will be a big thing. I mean, you go around town and you look at these depots and you see them. Yes, they have a fence, they have trees, but you know what? You still see them. Deciduous trees, you still see them. No matter what you do, you will see them. And, you know, is it really worth contaminating our aquifer? I mean, once you do that, there's no going back. Then you're looking at a Superfund site. You know? Yes, the property is in disarray, which is very unfortunate. But at the same time, you know, we got to look at, oh yeah, it's a good idea now, but 20, 30 years from now, when that's operating, maybe like it's grown, like some people said, and there's just no going back. Once you contaminate it, it's nearly impossible to clean. If it's possible, years and years and years it will take to clean. And I just think it is abominable just to even take the chance. So that's all I gotta say. And I will sign in. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Okay, next member of the public, the lady in the back row.
How are you? Jessica McLean. I work at 225 Robinson Lane with the horses, and over the years, it's gotten worse and worse. It is an eyesore, and we're trying to work with what we have. But with the Metzger plan, he would be investing and bringing that back, and everyone won't have that eyesore. They'll have that beautiful farm that they once saw and once hoped for, make the value of their homes good. And where I know that land very well, so this where he would have like the storage is far back, and it's not going to be that's not going to be an eyesore. It will be tucked away. The parcel is very large, and I think if they just think about what it looked like years ago and how it was, and with the improvements, and Metzger does not have any farms that look bad. He does have another one, and it's very beautiful, restored, and I really think that they will cover any issues about water or anything. They're a business that's very well put together. And so I'm for this project, and I hope that it does go through.
So did you state your address?
225 Robinson Lane.
Okay, you said you work there.
Yes.
You live there?
No.
Oh.
Okay, thank you. Next member of the public. Okay. Well, if there are no other comments or questions by the public, then we will adjourn the public hearing, and we will pick back up again next month. In the meantime, you or anyone else who's interested in this can send something in writing. I think it's always better to see people in person because I think you can be a lot more effective that way, but either way would be fine. And our next meeting is going to be on June 16th, 2026. And so we will take back up, and we'll be receiving a fairly lengthy presentation, I suspect, from Brian regarding responses to all of the questions and comments that were brought here tonight. I want to thank everybody for coming. Thank you. So I'll accept a motion to adjourn the did you have anything? No. I'll accept a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much.
Jackie, do you have the Password? Oh, is that it?
Yes, so we have a YouTube channel where you can actually watch a complete reenactment of this in video form. If you go to our website, the town website, help me out, Danielle. What's the easiest way to tell them how to access the YouTube channel to watch this meeting?
Google Town of East Fishkill on YouTube. Just Google Town of East Fishkill, and there's a little bar that has, on the right-hand side, that has, you can go in and choose this week or this month, and it will load up the videos for this week or this month. It usually takes him, he usually gets them up relatively quickly, the guy who does the videotaping.
You bet, yeah. And then, of course, we'll also have minutes that will be published, but that may be a few weeks because this was a pretty extensive meeting. So the best way, the quickest and easiest way is to watch the
You
video.
have Optum, Channel 22. Maybe this reruns all the way.
It'll be on television as well, Channel 22.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay. So back to the meeting. The next item on the agenda is Alpine Inn.
All right. This one's got a little bit of history to it. So this is an existing site. Oops, at 1374 Route 82. And this site plan was in front of the board back in 2015. It's an existing landscape supply site that's in use. And part of that 2015 site plan, it detailed the expansion of a second building. There's an existing building to the north here that's kind of sitting right here. There's an asphalt parking lot area in the front. It was the old Riggio's landscape supply back in the day. Tom from Alpine purchased the property, and during that 2015 timeframe, we proposed this second building in the front, largely storage, a little bit of office. And in that 2015 site plan, we detailed some material stockpile areas. Tom was getting ready to pull a permit on the existing building when we came to find out that the 2015 site plan, although it received conditional final, it never crossed the finish line with a signed site plan. So in talking to Michelle and the planning department, we were trying to resurrect and reestablish approvals on this site. We took elements from that existing site, that former site plan, that 2015 site plan. We overlaid it on an updated survey. So it's kind of a combination of the two here. So we wanted to get in front of the board with like an initial submission, just to discuss the project and circulate. But the existing pine trees that are around the property, some of them are in good shape, some of them have succumbed to disease. So part of the site plan would be to, reestablish that vegetative ring around the parcel, delineation of some of the parking spots in the center. One of the good things that happened with this parcel is this is one of the last pieces on Route 82 that has central water. So this building was connected to central water. So the idea would be that we would tee off the existing building supply and supply of the second building, which is in the front. Some of the zoning has changed slightly. It used to be an I zone. Now it's changed to a B zone. And with that, some of the setback restrictions have increased. So just shaking the rug on the site plan, we're bringing this back in front of the board with those 2015 concepts. This is the initial submission, obviously working with the town consultants to bring it up to current code. We'll provide turning templates, lighting plan, looking at existing fixtures and how they illuminate the site. But just we wanted to get in front of the board to start the process to kind of shake the rug on this. But it would continue to be, landscape supply. And again, the proposed building's about 1,000 square foot and change, largely for storage to get material undercover, machines undercover, and provide an office area for his staff.
Okay. Any questions or comments from board members? Questions or comments from our professionals?
I have Brian, could you just quickly go through what is changing? I mean, obviously the new building, but what else is changing from the existing condition to what you're proposing?
Right, so this building, we're going to push back, we're going to make sure we meet our setback requirements. So the new building is proposed here. There's a separate septic area. And what we're kind of adding here is this striped area here is the pavement area that we're going to be extending. This would allow access to the overhead door in the new building. There's a couple employee parking area in the front for his office. There's a little concrete sidewalk here that would access the front. And then this is a carryover from the old site plan, but there were some material storage areas here and some stockpile areas. We did receive some of the comments from the town engineer. We'll confine those and show how we get access to some of these stockpile areas in our next submission. But largely, it's going to be we're going to be delineating some of the striping in here and increasing this asphalt area to support this new building. With this expanded asphalt area, we'll have the ability, and we'll provide it with the turning templates, but to swing a fire truck through the site, and we'll show how garbage is taken away from the site.
So everything is paved except for the diagonal areas now? That's the only areas that you're expanding the pavement?
Correct. I mean, the existing pavement, there's sections of it that are in some pretty rough shape. So, as part of when he does expand that pavement, we may saw cut back in some sections just to clean up some of the pavement that's not in the best shape. But the intent is that the new pavement area above and beyond what exists today is that striped area there.
You will need to go to ARC, so you'll need to refer them to ARC.
All right. So, and I think I read in a Rennie Engineering letter that you may require a variance for one of the setback areas?
I think for the proposed building, we're going to make sure that meets setbacks from our front yard. I think the existing building, does the existing building need or is it pre-existing non-conforming?
Let me see what we call that on that. Relief from the 100-foot front setback from the edge of road pavement since the parcel's on the state road outside of the hamlet, but it only meets 89 feet of front setback.
I thought you would try.
From the edge of the road.
Yeah, we'll make sure that we don't need that. Well, I think we can push the building back a little bit.
Okay.
I don't know what that measured. I hope that may be taken from the edge of the concrete walkway. I'll clarify that.
Okay, got it. So I'll accept a motion to refer the applicant to the ARC.
So moved. Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I'll accept a motion to declare intent to be lead agency.
So moved. Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for the applicant? Okay, very good. Then moving on to the last item on the agenda, 1557, 1559, Route 82.
So this is an existing commercial site next to Florrie's Mobile on Route 82. This used to be actually our old office. In the front, there is a 4,800 square foot existing building. Try to zoom in here. Just to give you orientation, Florrie's Mobile is right here in this little cutout section, and then they have a parking lot in the front, and there is an access easement that goes through this piece and uses the existing entrance here. So there's an access easement that supports Florrie's parking area. It supports this existing 4,800 square foot building, and then behind it, I want to say in the mid-2000s, the Florries built this medical building that's about a 9,000 square foot, one-story medical building in the back. There is a creek that kind of cuts through the piece and separates the two buildings. There's an existing bridge here. This parcel is supplied via water from Covered Bridge. So the existing medical building has central water connection. The building in the front has a central water connection, and actually there's an easement that goes through that. It goes through next to the 4,800 square foot building and serves Florries. There's on-site septic for both buildings. The intent is just to subdivide these two pieces so they're standalone. Access, we're not proposing any disturbance here. It's just a subdivision line. What they want to do in the 4,800 square foot building is dermatology. There's an existing dermatologist that wants to come in. They have a couple of doctors and some office staff. Looking at the code and looking at their operation and their use, they only require 16 parking spaces, but if we look at the medical use definition, the lot requires 32. When and if this ever does change and expands to a different type of medical operation. So what we did show in concept that, if those 32 spaces were ever required to be installed, they would be installed in like a valet style parking configuration. They would be limited to employee parking. But for right now, there's 20 odd parking spaces on site that exists. They only anticipate using 16. But again, when and if they ever need anything above and beyond, there is a provision with this layout that would allow for those 32 total spaces. The building in the back, looking at that same concept of medical and allowable parking spaces, that has sufficient parking to cover that 150 square foot per space threshold. So there's no improvements that are proposed to the back parking lot area. So again, here tonight for initial submission, circulate, that kind of business, but no improvements being proposed right now, just a subdivision.
Okay. Any lighting or landscaping things being planned?
So I think the rear site had an approved lighting and landscaping plan. When that came through the planning process, Michelle, I think, is it worth a site visit out there just to kind of look at?
I think it might be. I just want to clarify. So you guys only need about 16 spaces. I think there's about 24 on site currently, so that leaves a shortfall of 8 for medical office. This particular medical use probably won't require the full 32 spaces, but we have to assume the worst, and that in the future someone could come in without actually having to come to the planning board for a change in the medical office. It wouldn't be a change of use, it would just be a change of ownership. So they could have a medical office that requires more parking. So I've asked Brian to show the land bank parking, which is what he did. Were you able to get the full 8 spaces in land bank? You are, okay. And then I also noted that, and this is just from looking at the plan, so I haven't been out there to see it, but there's also like a kind of a larger area for the refuse. And I was wondering if there might be an ability to squeeze a space in and around there. And you're proposing at this point just to land bank everything, correct? Okay. So it'll be up to you guys to decide whether or not you feel the land bank is appropriate, or if you wanted him to add spaces in at this time. I think that since the practice has stated that it only needs about 16 spaces, it's probably going to suffice, and we can maybe monitor it in a year after its operation and make sure that there's no issues with parking out there. But the parking it's proposing is stacked for the employees, so that means they park, it's a little bit tricky, but not unheard of. A lot of medical practices have valet and do this kind of thing because of the shortage of parking. And then with regards to the driveway, because it's an entrance and access that's going to be shared by both of the medical buildings that they'd have to have some sort of agreement or easement agreement between the owners.
Are you talking about an emergency?
Yeah, I think there is, and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, there is emergency access out to, is it subdivision next door, right?
Yeah.
There's an easement there that they're not allowed to touch because of the creek, but I think that the original site plan actually showed some sort of emergency access out that way. I don't know that it's, there might be a tree in the way now, or two. I don't know for sure, but that might be something that needs to be addressed a little bit.
Yeah, we could take a look at it. Maybe we take a site visit out there,
Yep.
just look at the lighting and landscaping.
So can we walk one more time through the parking situation? So the practice believes it needs 16, but you have 20?
We have 20, let's see what I have written.
I thought it was 24.
24, I think we have existing, practice needs 16, we have 24 that are currently built, and we're proposing to land bank 8 spaces.
Got it. And that 24 includes the stacked parking that you pointed out? No.
No, the stacked parking is just the land banked, so that's a when and if we ever needed that, that's where they would go.
Got it. Okay. Great. So what do we need to do here?
I mean, I think the only,
Does this involve other agencies?
no, I don't, well, how close are they to the, I don't think you're going to need any sort of permitting from DEC for that parking, for land bank parking, because is it a C or CT stream?
No, I'll look into it for you.
I don't think they're going to require anything with regards to DEC, even for that land bank parking. So I think it's really just a decision about what you want to do with the parking.
Just the
Yeah.
subdivision and, okay?
Yep.
Got it. Great. Any other questions or comments by board members or professionals?
And I guess the other thing is, I would say, just make sure there's nothing else on the site that you know, make sure that everything else is operating, looks the way you want it to look, because this is the time if you need additional landscaping, lighting, or refuse container enclosure or something like that, this would be the time to note that.
Got it. Okay. Good. All right. If there's nothing else then, any other business to be brought before the planning board? If not, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Done. Thank you very much.